Welcome to the Tyler Werner Show, discussing all the latest in Philadelphia sports.
We're all set for Super Bowl 51 with the New England Patriots taking on the Atlanta Falcons. After a very one-sided affair for both teams in their respective games, as Matt Ryan shows why he is probably the NFL MVP for the 2016 season. And then going over to New England with Tom Brady, showing why he is perhaps the greatest quarterback of all time, and in my opinion, the greatest quarterback of all time, and has a chance to solidify it more with a fifth Super Bowl ring. Whereas Matty Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons, they have their chance to get their first Super Bowl ring. And perhaps etch a spot for Matt Ryan as a future Hall of Fame quarterback.
And now, here's Tyler Werner.
Yes, hello ladies and gentlemen. It's almost here, the Super Bowl. Of course, we got Pro Bowl weekend coming up for those who are into Pro Bowl weekend. But no, now we kind of got that 2-week period or so. Well, now it's less than 2 weeks, but you know what I mean, between the NFC and AFC championship games and the Super Bowl. And after what was a insane divisional weekend with some great games, the conference championship weekend did not live up to the hype, I guess we could say.
I agree.
As, first of all, the Atlanta Falcons dismantling the Green Bay Packers. I was wrong on that one. Only the second game I was wrong on this playoff season. But it was a very one-sided affair, to say the least. I guess my theory is the Packers were just shot after last week, after that insane finish with the Dallas Cowboys, that battle. And, hey, if you're Atlanta, you play, last week, hosting the Seattle Seahawks at your home field, beating them convincingly after having the week off, the bye week. And then you host the Green Bay Packers rather than having to travel to the Dallas Cowboys. And Atlanta, their offense, again, just continuing to show why they were, throughout the season, their offense, definitely, they made a habit of scoring 40 or more points a game. I mean, maybe not a full-on habit, but they were no strangers to doing it, let's just say that, as they did it several times throughout the season. And you can add this playoff game to that mix of games where they'd score 40 or more points. And once again, Matt Ryan showing you why he is perhaps the lead candidate to win the NFL MVP award for the 2016 NFL season. Having a rather, another stellar day. 27 for 38, 392 yards, 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and a rush for a touchdown. And a partridge in a pear tree, even though Christmas was a month ago. Julio Jones, another field day, 9 receptions for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, what can you say? They shredded the Green Bay Packers. They started shredding them early, and I mean, for crying out, they were up 30-0 at one point, and Aaron Rodgers in the first half was having all kinds of problems. I don't know. I mean, supposedly he was a little under the weather or something. I don't think that had everything to do with it. But he had receivers dropping balls that were right in their hands and should have been caught. And, 44-21, pretty one-sided game. Rodgers was 27 for 45. 287 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. And again, I mean, Rodgers also had 4 carries for 46 yards. But, I mean, again, crucial, Crosby missed a field goal and they fumbled. They were almost about to score a touchdown early on, and they fumbled the football into the end zone. And, it's just one of those things, I guess, in the NFL. You win. I mean, the Packers, they had won how many games? I mean, I think they had 8 in a row. Once they beat the Eagles, and they started turning around what was a 4-6 finish or campaign in the season thus far, and they ran the table like Rodgers said they would all the way to the NFC Championship game, where the Falcons basically said that's the end of the road for you. And again, I point at they looked spent. I didn't think they were, I thought they were going to continue to ride their momentum. I thought the Cowboys were perhaps a little more complete of a team than the Atlanta Falcons. I'll even admit that. I think I had a feeling that if the Cowboys had beaten the Packers and then would host the Atlanta Falcons, I had a feeling that the Cowboys would win. Maybe I underestimated the Falcons a little bit here. I don't know. Falcons finished strong, this season, that's for sure. I don't know, I just didn't... defensively, the Falcons have been a little better, certainly, but the completeness factor I thought was there, maybe there for a Cowboys team, but Falcons with a little, Matt Ryan, a little more playoff experience, and then of course Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, a lot of playoff experience, which again, I thought would kind of be, rule in the Packers' favor here, the way Aaron Rodgers has been playing, and it kind of all came crashing down for them. And the Falcons going to the Super Bowl. And again, Matt Ryan continuing to show why he is probably going to be the NFL MVP for this season. He's thrown 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, second in the league in yardage this season, passing yardage behind Drew Brees. What more can you say? I think he had 67 completion percentage this year, so having a great season. And I mentioned in the opening that he's got a chance. I think a realistic chance. If they win this Super Bowl, Matt Ryan, you can make a case that he'll have a Hall of Fame resume, at least by standards of guys that are already in the Hall of Fame, or guys that are being considered for the Hall of Fame, a la Donovan McNabb.
Number 5 will always love you.
I'll get into it a little later, but at right now, actually, Matt Ryan has better career numbers than Donovan McNabb does. And McNabb's being considered for the Hall of Fame. And McNabb, of course, does not have that Super Bowl ring that Matt Ryan has a chance to get. Not to mention, Matt Ryan still going to play several more years. Still has several more years in this league. He's came into the league in 2008, in his early 30s. So he's still got time in this league too. We'll get into it later on. Because we also have to talk about the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
Well, as you know, I'm not on Snapface and all that.
after they dismantled the Pittsburgh Steelers, they did a dismantling of their own. And Bill Belichick claimed that he didn't, heading into this game, or even after the Patriots dismantled the Steelers, he didn't. He claimed he didn't even know who won that Packers and Falcons game. I mean, whether or not, but you get the idea here. They were worried about dismantling the Pittsburgh Steelers, which they would end up doing, and then they'll get into everything else. And as Bill Belichick just hinted at there just moments ago in that soundbite, of course, heading in this game, I said last week, Antonio Brown, what are you doing? Pittsburgh Steelers, what are you guys doing? Talking that kind of trash sort of about the New England Patriots, who, by the way, you can never seem to beat. Who, by the way, Tom Brady was 18 touchdowns and 0 interceptions against heading into this game, and only made that worse after his stellar performance this past weekend. Again, I warned you. I warned everybody, but the New England Patriots, they deliver. What can you say? All right, listen. Tom Brady, best quarterback ever, like him or not, which I know a lot of people don't like him. I know this whole cheating thing, Deflategate, Spygate, whatever, is in everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people's heads. And a lot of times, the best at something is oftentimes the most hated for one reason or another. But let me just remind everybody, as I was saying last week, Brady suspended first 4 games of the season. New England Patriots, they finished 14-2. That's their best finish, I believe, since the 2008 season. Maybe it was the 2007 season. 2008 Super Bowl, where they went undefeated until they lost to Eli Manning in the Super Bowl, of course. But best regular season finish since then, I believe. 14-2. I don't think other than that, they've had a couple 13-3 years, maybe few 12. I think several 12-4s. But Tom Brady misses first 4 games, of course, due to suspension. They finish 14-2. Gronkowski was a little sparse this season. He only played a stretch of games where he was basically a full-time player. The majority of this season, he didn't really play as a full-time player. They finish 14-2. And here they just dismantled the Pittsburgh Steelers en route to their 7th Super Bowl. All right, so you tell me. Now that the NFL, I guess, has their balls in a row, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, balls, dangling balls. Yeah.
Now that maybe they, since they made such a big deal about the whole Deflategate thing, and now I guess they have, better policies on the inflation of footballs, since apparently it really didn't seem to matter until this whole Deflategate thing, at least the way the NFL was handling it. And here the Patriots, here they are again in the Super Bowl. So what does everybody have to say to that? Like, all these, can we just give it up and just, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, they're the best. What can you say? Look at what they're doing. Chris Hogan, anybody? Did anybody know who Julian Edelman? I mean, look at what this Patriots team does with personnel. Did anybody know that Danny Amendola once played for the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm not saying he's a Pro Bowl receiver or anything, but Patriots took him in. He's a pretty decent spot there. Pretty important position. Again, Chris Hogan, they take Julian out of the 7th round. And look at what these guys do with rejects from other teams or just players that are drafted late in the NFL draft. Chris Hogan was a lacrosse player. Bill Belichick plucks him, and he has a field day. I mean, more so than Antonio Brown. Probably the greatest receiver in football right now. Is this not reaching some people out there? That Bill Belichick is just a genius with coaching and personnel and just what they do. It's clockwork. It's not, you can't point at cheating or anything. They're taking, I mean, I know that this sounds a little weird or a little odd or whatever, but all these white guys that Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots have made into formidable wide receivers at New England. Going back to Wes Welker and Danny Woodhead, and of course right now Julian Edelman, and now Chris Hogan. I mean, what are they? They don't. Again, they don't have Gronkowski. For what it's worth, maybe they trade Gronkowski after the season. I don't know. I mean, look. They're doing just fine without him, aren't they? And Gronkowski, might want payday, and another payday or whatever, and he's been getting banged up a little bit, so, he might be expendable. Especially when you go and finish 14-2, and Brady you're dismantling the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game with Chris Hogan and Julian Edelman at wide receiver, and I mean, what more can you say? It's amazing what the Patriots do. Brady has, other than Randy Moss for a brief period, what Hall of Fame wide receivers has he had? Now, I know it helps. It helps Chris Hogan and Julian Edelman that Tom Brady is throwing them the football. But still, the fact that, look at the route combinations that they draw up and put together that get these guys separation. I mean, it's amazing. Tom Brady, 32 for 42 on the day, 384 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Again, kind of comparable to Matt Ryan's day, give or take. Chris Hogan, 9 receptions for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's 20 yards per reception. Julian Edelman, 8 receptions for 118 yards, 14.8 per reception yards, and a touchdown. I mean, look at these guys. It's staggering numbers, and this continued reign of dominance in this league, going back to 2001, where just about every year is a playoff year. And so many years, your team is in the AFC Championship game. And 7 of those years, your team is in the Super Bowl. Screw the whole cheating theories. This season for the Patriots, it just goes to show you. I mean, what excuses are you? Oh, the fire alarm excuse. That some 25-year-old nitwit goes and pulls a fire alarm who's a Patriots fan, and yeah, whatever. There's a meme going around that I saw, and I actually thought of this whole theory before. Well, guess what? Maybe if you're the New England Patriots, you win that, you get home field advantage another season like that. You win more games in the regular season. You get home field advantage. You don't have to stay in a hotel like the Pittsburgh Steelers did. So that's just the way it is. And people are going to go, Patriots, they were probably up to this. Whatever. Come on. They've been practically running the table all season long. Even with Gronkowski and Brady, those first 4 games not really having any presence really at all. Especially when you're Brady and you were suspended those first 4 games. I mean, come on. Whether it's the genius of Bill Belichick and stellar quarterback play by Tom Brady, year after year, it's just clockwork what they do, machine-like what they do. And if you're still gonna hate, if you're still gonna hate on that, look, I look at them. I wish we had that here with this Philadelphia Eagles team. I mean, it would just be pure bliss. Say the next, 20 years or whatever. Because, Brady and Belichick, still another few years you give them together, I would think. And, then you're talking about 20-year reigns here with the New England Patriots of dominance. And, I look at that and I'm, 4, maybe 5, maybe even 6, who knows? See what I don't know. Super Bowls, all this playoff success and yada yada. I would take that here in Philly. That would just be pure bliss. I look at the Patriots. I don't, as much as Eagle fans or whoever else for that matter, all other kinds, Steelers fans, Colts fans, Broncos fans, whoever, we're gonna look at the Patriots and they're cheaters, and no, they're just freaking good. They just freaking know what they're doing. The last decade and a half plus. Bill Belichick is just in a league of his own. Tom Brady is just the greatest quarterback ever. Like it or not. They just know how to get the best out of their talent. Evaluate talent. Send a coaching message that the players buy into. That's just how it is. Take a break and we'll get back to this colossal matchup, I guess you could say, of, 2 MVP candidates this season. I think it goes to Matt Ryan. He's been playing the whole season. Didn't have any suspension to serve or whatever. So, Matt Ryan has the edge in that regard. But we'll get back to it more on the other side. Breaking down these games. AFC, again, one-sided affairs, kind of disappointing. As of, for those who were looking for good, I mean, I expected better games, but it is what it is. So with that in mind, it is the Tyler Werner Show. We'll bring it back to you right after this on the Tyler Werner Show.
The champion of game day catering is the official meatball of the Tyler Werner Show, Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs.
We prepare our balls over time, and that's the essence of the preparation.
On top of that, another trademark of Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs is Brady's signature rubbing process.
When I pick balls out, to me, they're perfect. I don't want anyone touching the balls after that. I don't want anyone rubbing them. To me, those balls are perfect.
What is a concern is the texture of the balls, and again, that's the point that Tom hit on hard.
The champion of all game day catering dishes is Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs, the official meatball of the Tyler Werner Show.
It's no big news flash that many people, you included, eat as a way to medicate themselves. You can choose to worry about it or not. You can choose to panic about your situation or not. It's clear what you must do in order to make important changes.
5 letters here. R-E-L-A-X. Relax. We're going to be okay.
In order for you ever to effectively figure out and map how to get to where you want to go, you have to first know exactly where you are starting.
R-E-L-A-X. Relax.
You have to be willing to change what you're doing. You can change your behavior.
Back on the Tyler Werner Show, as we are coming off of NFC and AFC Championship weekend. New England Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl. And you just kind of wonder, where did this season go? Once sometimes it just football season just comes and goes, and all we got left is the Super Bowl. So, that's, obviously the meat of the conversation here is, football usually is on the Tyler Werner Show, ruling the day. And, again, it's another year where, people, they look and it's like, oh, it's the Patriots again in the Super Bowl. Well, a lot of people. And I just look at it as like, they're just that good. And I mean, it's like a franchise that fans of any other football team wish they would have, really. I mean, it's the way I look at it. I mean, they just continue to roll along, the Patriots, year after year. And they could very well get Super Bowl ring number 5 with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady here. An NFL would be an NFL record. And again, would to me set Belichick and Brady apart as head coach and quarterback respectively as the greatest in NFL history. Like it or not. Wanted to get into the topic of the Sixers too briefly, because for those who watched this past weekend, when Joel Embiid hyperextended his knee.
Trust the process.
Yes, who has been Mr. Trust the Process lately.
Man, I love y'all. I hope y'all keep trusting the process.
Which, again, that just continues to be the thing here in Philadelphia with, something that was coined by Doug Peterson and, now kind of morphed its way into the 76ers as well, and what they've been doing the last few years, and now how they're starting to show signs of ascension here and things coming together. Joel Embiid, again, gave us a little scare when he hyperextended his knee. Now, there are some cases where, now it doesn't go for everybody, but some cases where hyperextended knees occur with torn ACLs happening not too long thereafter. All right?
Oh, man.
Now, again, it's not to, jinx Joel Embiid or anything. Hopefully, he stays healthy, hopefully. And that brought up the last couple of games. Do you play Joel Embiid? And I think the Sixers did the right precautionary thing by not playing him. Again, there are some fans that have had an issue with the, like, oh, come on. Like, if this was Carson Wentz and the Eagles, you'd play him and whatnot. And some people who went to that Sixers game, Sixers getting a win over the Clippers 121-110 last night without Joel Embiid. Again, it's people they went to see with Joel Embiid, and they weren't going to get him. Going to that game, probably thinking they were going to get to see Joel Embiid, but ultimately not. Sixers still got the win anyways, but you get my point. Now it's 16-27. Sixers have been, again, they've been pretty rock steady for the most part. It's one of those things where this season, whether they go to the playoffs or not, come on. For the long-term good, just to be, because this is a case where, Joel Embiid, he hyperextends his knee, sit him for a couple games, whatever. Sitting out a couple games, it's not going to impede his progress major. Like the thing with Carson Wentz, with the concussion protocol in the one game late in the season where they brought him back out and he was, look, it was, that was fine. Now, putting him in a play where he's a lead blocker, fresh off concussion pro, that I don't quite get. But that's kind of for Doug Peterson to ponder with all the Philadelphia, with Eagle fans, kind of questioning like, what the hell is he doing? NFL, you got 16 games. All right, and concussion protocol where Carson Wentz is okay. That's different. Bring him back out. The NBA, where Joel Embiid has looked rather good, as it is, even having not really played all that much basketball, since since before coming to the Sixers. It's not gonna impede him. It's just good to, keep him after a hyperextension. And keep him, cool down a little bit. Don't want to re-aggravate anything that might make the situation worse for him, and that might give him a long-term injury. It's just good precautionary resting of him. That's all. Sixers did the right thing. I know some fans are just like, oh, come on. I want to see Joel Embiid play and yada yada. Well, sometimes there are things like this that happen where you kind of gotta, these are not life or death games here for the Sixers right now. Now, I don't know if it's Game 7 in an NBA Finals. It might be a different story. That's up to, but in this situation, it's a long season. And at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference whether the Sixers make the playoffs or not, which I don't think they'll make. And I wouldn't expect them to make, but I guess you never know, right? They have in the last week, they have risen to 15th, though. In the power, they were 25th the week before. They have risen up to 15 in the NBA power rankings. How about that? So, I mean, they lost to the Hawks Saturday night, but other than that, again, they've beaten the Trailblazers Friday night. Beat the Clippers. No Joel Embiid last night. I mean, they continue to be rock steady. So, whoa. It's nothing like sliding the volume down and then, it just kind of creeps back up to the 100% mark. But anyhow, we roll on the Tyler Werner Show. Again, Sixers continue to be prominent in conversation here. As they, again, for the most part, they just continue to win games. They've been where the Flyers, on the other hand, for the most part, have been pretty disappointing after that 10-game losing streak. The Sixers have kind of come in and made up for it a little bit. However, the Flyers, the other night, 3-2 overtime win against the New York Islanders with none other than Claude Giroux scoring the overtime game-winning goal. Oh, see, now the volume's turned all the way down. Yeah. Waiting for the Flyers goal horn there. But anyway. Other than that, again, the Flyers have had Saturday after their bye week. They come out flat against the Devils, get beat 4-1. For the most part, they just don't look like a playoff team right now, and it's a shame. That continue to just look back at that 10-game winning streak and look at where they're at now. As it stands right now, in the Metropolitan Division, they're 5th, which they kind of have been for a while. However, the Capitals, they're at 70 points. The Blue Jackets actually come down to earth a little bit. They're 68 points. Penguins at 65 points. Rangers at 63. And then the Flyers are now all the way down at 52 points. They used to be right there with the Rangers and the Penguins. They've really dropped down the charts a little bit, if that makes any sense. And over in the Atlantic Division, Canadians leading with 65 points. Senators at 57 points. Bruins at 54 points. Maple Leafs at 53 points. So actually right now, it's kind of 4-4 if the playoffs were right now. Coming out of both divisions, 4-4. Whereas a while, it seemed like the Flyers would, but right now they're a fringe team, fringe playoff team. They're right there on the cusp. But you would hope that they'd be better than that. After last season, they were able to get in, I don't know. We'll see how how things come out down the stretch. Got 34 games left. Still a lot of season to play, but ultimately, they haven't mounted the kind of consistency that you need lately to make a good push for the playoffs. I don't really know what to say at this point for the Flyers right now, other than we just have to wait and see. All right, so gonna hit another break here momentarily. And on the other side, I want to make a little numbers comparison with something I made, a statement I made earlier. Matt Ryan, you could argue, Hall of Famer. If he wins, if he gets this Super Bowl ring, especially. Now, whether the Falcons do or not, I think remains to be seen. Because again, I think Brady, Belichick, and the Patriots, they might have something else to say about that. But I don't know.
To me, those balls are perfect.
But anyhow, we'll get back into it. Football talk to kind of close things out here on the Tyler Werner Show. Of course, we still have next week leading up to the Super Bowl where we preview more. But we're still talking about what we saw this past weekend with these one-sided NFC and AFC championship games. We'll dig back into it more on the other side, right here on the Tyler Werner Show.
Well, as you know, I'm not on Snapface and all that.
Stay tuned for more.
Okay, Rocco, pretend I'm the girl that you want to ask out on a date.
How about maybe you and I, maybe we go out together, get something to eat, I don't know, maybe laugh a little bit, who knows, I don't know, would you like to maybe, you want me to go out together? What do you think? Would you like to?
You need to make more eye contact and you sound way too nervous.
You want to hear me say it? You want to break me down? All right, I'm afraid. For the first time in my life, I'm afraid.
Having a tough time asking out ladies? You need to see Clubber Lang for a lesson.
Hey, woman. I bet you stay up late every night dreaming you had a real man, don't you? I tell you what, bring your pretty little self over to my apartment tonight, and I'll show you a real man.
Build confidence with the ladies like never before with Clubber Lang's dating services. The most highly recommended in all of the Delaware Valley.
I am ranked number one. That means I'm the best.
Investigators are calling it the heist of the century. The grand robbery of Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs, committed by some apparently hungry NFL officials who love their balls.
When I came in Monday morning, I was shocked to learn of the news reports about the balls and the process that happened between when they were prepared and went to the officials and went to the game.
As shocked as Belichick was of the news, perhaps Brady, the last man out of the kitchen on that Sunday night, was even more shocked to hear of the news of the theft.
I have a process that I go through. It was the same process that I always go through. When I felt them, they were perfect. I wouldn't want anyone touching those. I would zip those things up and lock them away, and that's what I thought I was doing.
As Brady and Belichick up the ante on their ball security, you'll just have to pick up a pack of their meatballs the next time you hit the grocery store and enjoy just how perfect these balls really are.
Tom's personal preferences on his ball security are something that he can talk about in much better detail than I could possibly provide.
And we're back in this edition of the Tyler Werner Show, coming off of the AFC and NFC championship games. And I guess, for those who maybe look forward to the Pro Bowl, we got that coming up this weekend. Yeah, I don't mean to bash the Pro Bowl, but I was looking at the rosters, actually, even a couple of weeks ago, and it just occurred to me today, actually, that, it didn't even, I don't know what happened, but I realized I was reading an article about how, they're doing the AFC and NFC format. And in the article, how it said, a deviation from, fantasy drafts that they've been doing the last few years. And then it occurred to me, like that's right. They've been doing these, former Hall of Fame caliber football player drafts, or where Jerry Rice or Deion. Oh my God. Prime time. Why can't I? Deion Sanders. There we go. They or whoever would draft players to their team. I just totally forgot about that as I'm looking how it's AFC versus NFC. And then I'm like, that's right. They didn't even do that the past few years where it was AFC, the traditional AFC versus NFC. So that just goes to show you, I guess how interested I am in the Pro Bowl, unfortunately, But anyhow, as far as the Eagles that are going to the Pro Bowl, I don't know. Things change because of some guys, they don't want to participate. Because obviously some players like Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons and whoever from the New England Patriots and yada yada, they're going to be in the Super Bowl, so obviously they're not going to play in the Pro Bowl. But I was looking at the NFC roster as far as Eagles are concerned. You got Darren Sproles as a running back replacing Devontae Freeman. I guess dangerous running back play kind of idea. Obviously, it's a part-time running back. Of course, no Eagle wide receivers. Of course, no surprise there.
I agree.
Now, Jason Peters was actually named originally to the Pro Bowl roster. However, for one reason or another, David Bakhtiari from the Packers is going to replace Jason Peters. Now, at center, you got Travis Frederick from the Cowboys. And then I guess as second string center, if that makes any sense, replacing Alex Mack of the Atlanta Falcons is Jason Kelce.
What?
Yeah. Now, once upon a time, Kelce was a pretty good center. And I don't mean to bash the guy. I've met him in person when I interned at 93.3 WMMR, and he's a nice guy. Cool guy. But after this season that he had, I don't know. I find it a little surprising that he made it to the Pro Bowl. The two Eagle offensive linemen are, well, I guess Jason Peters bowed out or whatever, but that just in general that two guys would be named to the Pro Bowl in some form or another on the Eagles offensive line. I don't know, I just find that a little hard to believe, I guess. But Fletcher Cox on the defensive side of the ball, named to the Pro Bowl. Not too much of a surprise there. Scrolling down here, and I don't believe I see anybody else. And no, I believe that's it. So there you have it. Several Eagles players, I guess, making the Super Bowl in one form or another. I guess for those who are looking forward to this year's Pro Bowl matchup this weekend, I don't know. It's not something I tend to go too crazy about here on the Tyler Werner Show. You know, I'm ready for the Super Bowl, I guess, if that makes any sense. I mentioned earlier that Matt Ryan, if he wins this Super Bowl, is he not a Hall of Fame? Will he not be a Hall of Fame quarterback when it's all said and done? Consider the following, as Bill Nye the Science Guy used to say in his famous, kid science class movie show or whatever you want to call it. Well, these are Donovan McNabb. For instance, Donovan McNabb. The topic has come up. Is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? Is he going to get nominated to be in the NFL Hall of Fame one day? It comes and goes as far as the conversation amongst Eagles fans and in the Philadelphia sports world. These are Donovan McNabb's career numbers. 59 completion percentage, 37,276 yards in his career, 234 touchdowns, 117 interceptions. That's exactly one interception to every 2 touchdowns he'd throw. Pretty decent. Career rating of 85.6. All right, those are Donovan McNabb's career numbers. And of course, you tack on 1 Super Bowl appearance, a decent amount of playoff victories, but ultimately, as far as championships are concerned, 1 NFC championship. No Super Bowl rings, of course. Let's take a look at Matt Ryan's career statistics to date. All right. Now he's had less playoff victories. I mean, he was 1-4 heading into this year's play. Now he's 3-4 in the playoffs. So let's take a look here. Let's go to career stats for Matt Ryan. Okay. All right, so here we go. Career completion percentage, 64.9. That's a good 5% or so better than Donovan McNabb. Career yards, 37,701. This season he he surpassed Donovan McNabb's career yardage. Touchdowns, 240. Interceptions, 114. That's almost identical to McNabb. 3 less interceptions, 6 more touchdown passes. Career rate. Oh, that's this season. I don't want to look at that. That's this year's rate, 117.1. But no, I want to look at his career rate is 93.6. All superior to Don McNabb. Whether or not he wins this Super Bowl, he has the same amount of Super Bowl appearances. Less playoff victories overall, but otherwise, he is superior to Donovan McNabb in every statistic, basically. Either comparable or superior. So, quarterback born out of Exton, PA. Just, well, I was about to say not too far of a drive from here, but I'm talking about, Lancaster County where I'm located. But like borderline Berks County. So, I'm still in the Philadelphia range without question. There you have it. Matt Ryan, he wins the Super Bowl. Is he not a Hall of Fame quarterback? If Don McNabb is getting considered, I think that's, it's an interesting point that has come up, an interesting topic of conversation. So, and speaking of Hall of Fame quarterbacks, a future Hall of Fame quarterback, I would think, who after getting defeated this past weekend, Big Ben Roethlisberger, he may be retired. He's considering retirement, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just wondering if, did he have after that beatdown from the New England Patriots? Is that, I don't know, is that a wrap?
This is the end of this subject for me for a long time.
I don't know. I mean, it's Big Ben Roethlisberger, apparently, after that game, considering retirement. Said he's going to, I guess, consider in the off-season all options and, I guess, pray about it and,
Oh, God, ease our suffering and this our moment of great despair.
I don't know. He's considering retirement, though. I'm trying to think of what his, statistically where he stacks up. He's got 2 Super Bowls in the bank. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a little. He's going to be 35 March 2nd. I'm wondering, he just beat up. I don't know. I mean, he's taken a beating in his career. That's for sure. It's 301 touchdowns to 160 interceptions, 64% completion percentage, 94.1 passer rating, career yards 46,814, 2 Super Bowls in the bank, and some more playoff victories to add on to that. Yeah, I mean, another Hall of Fame quarterback right there. Might be hanging him up after this year. We'll wait and see. That would be, I mean, if you're the Steelers, Antonio Brown too. I mean, his commitment to the team was kind of called into question after this game. I mean, it's like, look what the New England Patriots did. I know Le'Veon Bell got banged up, wasn't good to play, but still, the Patriots they chewed them up and spit them out, as the Falcons did to the Packers. And it amazes me that, well, I know Big Ben, he's taken a beating in his career. 34 going on 35 might hang him up. And then I look at Tom Brady, who's 39, and it looks like it's like he's in his prime. It's like he's been in his prime all this time. Like he hasn't lost a step. I mean, 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the regular season, and I mean, geez. He still works the same magic on the field that he does any other year. It's just mind-boggling. And you can't help but tip my cap to what the Patriots are doing. year after year. There's nothing more intriguing to me than the prospect of this Super Bowl where if the New England Patriots win, first of all, Roger Goodell was at the Falcons game. Of course he wasn't in Foxborough watching the New England Patriots game. Of course he wasn't. Of course he was down at Atlanta watching the Falcons. It's just funny. And if the Patriots win, Roger Goodell, he's going to have to hand that Lombardi trophy, that 5th Lombardi trophy, to Bill Belichick and Tom Brady.
To me, those balls are perfect.
And that just, oh my God, that is just intriguing as can be to me. The ultimate, shove it moment would be that. Meanwhile, that's not to say that it wouldn't be also intriguing to see Matt Ryan get his first Super Bowl ring. New coaching regime in its second year. What they were able to accomplish this year. That Exton's own Matt Ryan. Two interesting scenarios right there. All right, so that pretty much wraps things up for now on the Tyler Werner Show. I'm not, again, I haven't made any official picks yet. It's still got another week to evaluate and kind of anticipate and then discuss next week and preview Super Bowl 51. We'll feature the New England Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons. No, it's not going to be Brady versus Rodgers like I was hoping for. And would have been, again, very, very intrigued by. But still, the Falcons versus the Patriots is still, to me, an intriguing Super Bowl. As long as you have the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, to me, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, it's interesting to me. To me, it's must-watch TV. So, we will discuss next week, discuss and preview the Super Bowl. Until then, everybody have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time on the Tyler Werner Show.
Well, as you know, I'm not on Snapface and all that.